This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living.
And welcome in to the Helping Healing Humor, make sure I get all my H's right, podcast with Ben and Travis. And of course, Will the Thrizzle is with us as well. Ben, Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have got my exercise in this morning, but not nearly as much as what Will got in this morning.
Did pretty well, Travis. Got 15 miles in. Finished out the Batify Challenge with 75 miles. So I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good and sore.
Well, use those ligaments as long as you can, brother, because after a while they're not so greased anymore. As you can tell, we are a little jazzed this time around, maybe a little more than usual. I don't know. You can tell us. But we've got some amazing guests with us, and I'm just going to let Ben do the introductions here because he's known them a lot longer than me. So go ahead, Ben.
All right, so we have Josh and Ginger Willingham with us. Some people may know Josh from the major leagues. He got to play in the majors for a while. I'll let him tell a little bit about that, but his real claim to fame is that he got to play high school ball with me. Actually, I did a really good job of warming the bench for him so that he would have a warm place to sit when he came back out from the field. I've known Ginger probably a little bit longer, even though I guess we've all been at Mars Hill about the same amount of time, but Ginger was in my class at Mars Hill, and she has the distinct privilege of having been in the first ever production that I was in, which was Popeye the Sailor Man in kindergarten. So we're just really glad to have you guys with us. Josh, Ginger, how are y'all today?
We're good. Thank you for having us.
Doing really well. Good to be on with you guys.
I think I'm going to have to see, surely on YouTube somewhere, there's this Popeye, right? Somewhere.
We should put it on YouTube for sure. He
We
wore
really
swim floaties as his muscles under his shirt. So
He still has the same size muscles that he had in kindergarten.
I still need to put on swim floaties to make it look impressive at all. So, well, Josh, tell us a little bit about your career in the baseball world. We would love to hear about that. I know some people listening may already know, but tell us all about where you played and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I think, one of the cool things about it is, I got to live out, a lot of kids' childhood dreams, and I was the same as a kid. I had those same dreams and, aspirations to play in the big leagues. I was a huge Braves fan, like a lot of people are that grow up in the South, and we watched them every night. And I wanted to be one of those guys when I grow up. And, for a lot of people, it doesn't play out that way. I was fortunate enough to get some breaks and, have the talent to play up there. And, I played for, I kind of paid my dues in the minor leagues after college and, played 5 seasons in there and kind of had to work my way up the ladder as most people do. And saw a lot of talented players that I played with that maybe had as much talent or more than I did not make it for whatever reason. And was fortunate enough to get a break. And I played several years with the Florida Marlins, 2004 through 2008. I got traded to the Washington Nationals and played 2 seasons with them in 2009 and 10. Got traded to the Oakland A's, played a season with them in 2011, and then I played 2012 through 14 with the Minnesota Twins and actually got traded at the end of that year and got a chance to play in the postseason and got to play in the World Series, came up 1 game short. But, I think just got to fulfill my dream and play at the major league level. And, now that it's over, I get to look back at that and really see how cool that was.
And his biceps, he doesn't have to have floaties under his shirt either, and those are real. So, yeah, there you go.
Ginger's got some biceps too. You want to?
No.
Oh.
It's not.
No flexing. Oh, come
We've
on.
been working out and flexing.
You know, I'm a big uniform guy. You know, I like the green, the Oakland A's. That's awesome. Any particular, I'm going off the cuff here already, Ben, so forgive me.
That's all right.
You know, any uniform you preferred to play in? Was there any advantage? You know, Deion Sanders used to say, "You look good, you play good."
And there's a lot of truth to that. And even if you don't look good, if you feel like you look good, you tend to play good. I mean, I didn't make a uniform look as great as some other players that I played with, but one of the things with the Oakland A's that I could never get used to was playing with the white shoes, because nobody else in the big leagues plays with white shoes, but the A's do. Now, once you do it and you get used to it, you're like, that's pretty neat. But as far as any particular uniform, I think the specific dates that you play on, like July 4th, you'll have a uniform. Sometimes you get to wear camo uniforms and throwback uniforms, and those are the ones that I really enjoyed. And I got to keep a couple of those that we have in our house that I think are really cool.
I know you've got quite a bit of accomplishments as far as baseball goes. What you probably don't remember is one time you came back down to Mars Hill while we were finishing out our senior year and actually shattered an L screen in our batting cage when Will Bridges was tossing to you. So we kind of got to watch you, and we followed you all through high school. But like speaking, I know we've got here in their notes, you hit 2 grand slams in one game. What are some of those accomplishments as far as baseball goes that you've just remembered and that have stuck out to you?
Well, as far as individual accomplishments, that's definitely at the top. A lot of people talk about that, but from an individual accomplishment perspective, that was definitely it. I got a hit in the postseason that propelled our team, the Royals, through the wild card game, and then we kind of hit our stride, and we ended up, sweeping the division series and then the ALCS, and that was the biggest hit that I got in my career, in my opinion. And it only went about, 150 feet, and then I got jammed, but but that kind of gave us an opportunity to keep playing. But as far as the 2 grand slams go, what's neat about sports in general, baseball, life, is you really never know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. And it was just a normal day for me. I had the same routine. Us baseball players are routine guys. Ginger can tell you, I still, I have, sometimes they're kind of bad habits, but I still like to have my routine. I mean, I'll eat the same places and do the same things at the same time of day. And that was the way it was when I played. And it was really no different that day. We were in Milwaukee, and I got up about the same time, did the same things before I go to the field, probably called her at the same time. And everything was just normal. And then the game started, and, I get a hit my first at bat, which is always a confidence booster. And the next time I got up, it was bases loaded. And, I got a good pitch to hit and hit a grand slam. And I'd hit a grand slam before. So it was obviously really cool. And then the next time, what I remember is being on deck and thinking, what's going to happen if my friend that hits in front of me, Adam Dunn, he walked a lot, he struck out a lot, and he hit a lot of home runs. That's the 3 things that he did really well. So I knew he had a chance to walk right there. And if he walked, then I was going to get a chance to hit with the bases loaded again. So I was kind of playing that scenario through my head. Sure enough, he walked, and what was I going to try to do? Well, I was probably going to try to hit another grand slam. And if you've played baseball out there, that's usually not a good approach to try to hit a home run. I mean, Ben, how many home runs did you hit when you tried to hit one?
Well, I never hit any home runs, even when I didn't try to. So short hopping the fence one time was my accomplishment. So.
Well, it's funny. I woke up that morning after you had done it, and I've got Sports Center on, and I'm going about getting ready for school or whatever, and Josh Willingham hits 2 grand. I was like, what? So I came to school the next day and said, hey, that guy, I sort of know him through like 3 or 4 other people, but I think I know him, yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to try to hit another grand slam, basically. And luckily for me, the manager came out and took the pitcher out and kind of changed my thought process. And I swung and missed my first pitch, a slider by probably 2 feet. So as a hitter, I knew one of 2 things. I knew, number one, well, he's going to throw that pitch again. So I knew what was coming. And so he ended up leaving it up, and I hit another one. And I didn't know what I had done as far as, only being the 13th player to have ever done it. But I did know when our media relations guy was coming down from the press box into the dugout where he had no business being, that something was going on, So it ended up being a cool moment and one I'll never forget.
And did it get into the Hall of Fame? Did I hear that the bat is in the Hall of Fame?
It is. The Cooperstown actually called me and wanted the bat, and I flat out, told them no, because that bat was hot, right? I mean, I wanted to use it the next day. But then I came to my senses and actually gave them the bat, and that's one of the things that we've never actually been up there to see and shown our kids that we definitely want to do. A lot of people have sent me pictures that have been up there, but we haven't gone up and seen it.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Well, are there any challenges? We talk about in this podcast, Helping Healing Humor podcast, but are there any, real demanding things about being in the limelight? I know it's got to come with some challenges. It's got to come with some personal struggles. I know that you guys are, people of faith and hold strong to your faith. So, what kind of challenges did you or Ginger? I know it's got to be a little bit of a different world for you too, him being gone a lot. So speak to that if you don't mind.
Yes, there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of things that usually don't have a good recipe for, success. And a lot of that goes back to just, anytime, we know we're tempted every day as Christians and in our normal lives. And when you get up and you're a professional athlete, those temptations, those opportunities, a lot of things kind of get enhanced just from, everything around that limelight, like you said. So I think that's some of the things that, I think made it a little bit more difficult. You're just, there's a lot of things I could talk about, but, and seeing and fellow Christians, that's one of the things that really had to get your core group of friends and your baseball chapel guys, which we might touch on later, to hold you accountable. We talk about accountability partners and friends and holding each other accountable. And that's very important because, frankly, a lot of my friends and, didn't stay on the right path and ended up costing them, sometimes their careers, sometimes a lot more than their careers, and get into, family stuff. So yes, it was difficult, but having the upbringing that I had with my parents, my family, obviously having a partner like Ginger to go through that with, to hold each other accountable, to be there for each other, definitely helps. And I don't know how that, I would have gotten through it without that. But I really attribute a lot of it to the fact or how I was brought up, in my family and, going to church and having that spirituality, from the get-go.
Sure. I would definitely think there's a lot of challenges being a wife too, or a girlfriend, or, whatever situation you're in, being the significant other of a baseball player. And I think early on when he first got to the big leagues, I think it was really difficult. There was certain expectations that I thought that wives had to meet, and there were, just the materialistic stuff. And so that was really hard to kind of find my place and I guess just realize, who I was. It didn't matter. I didn't have to change myself for anybody or, that kind of thing. And then that helped a lot. We had girls' Bible study. And so I started finding, like-minded friends in the stand, with these girls. And that made things a whole lot easier, just kind of, finding my place where I needed to be as far as, my role as a wife. And then obviously the traveling with kids and, that sort of thing that made it really hard being away from him, several weeks at a time. That was very, very hard at times. And being away from family, being away from home, those sort of things. And then moving when, he would get traded or, called up, or because we were in the minor leagues together too. A lot of people may not know that, but we were married in the minor leagues, and that was some really hard times. So I think just there's a lot of things that I could say that was hard, but having somebody like him and being a Christian and having our faith definitely made those times a lot easier for sure.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, a lot of times a lot of my friends, I was a 16th round draft pick. I didn't get a lot of money thrown my way, but a lot of people do. When you're a top round draft pick, you get, millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars thrown at you. And I can't imagine being an 18-year-old kid and getting $3 million thrown at me. So a lot of people do ask my advice and kind of call me when they have either a kid or a friend or someone that they care about that's about to go through the draft process, whether they're being high school or college. And, most of the time they'll call me like, look, this is my son or my nephew or whatever. He throws, 96 miles an hour and he's projected to get drafted in, the first round. He's 18 years old. And what do you think he should do? I'm like, well, I don't care if he throws 196 miles an hour. I'm like, what's the kid like? Is he matured? Does he know who he is? Is he going to be able to handle this and handle that? Because if you get $3 million as an 18-year-old, I've seen it time after time. It doesn't matter how hard you throw, how far you can hit a ball. You're not going to make it. There's just too much out there for them not to be able to succeed. So that's kind of what I was getting at. I was happy that she mentioned us being married in the minor leagues, and that was huge. We had to go through, life where we had really, struggled like a lot of people do, and not making a whole lot of money and just to make ends meet. And so we had that foundation, and I think that helped us be able to deal with a lot of things as, we got older and things changed a little bit.
Well, and the truth is, it doesn't matter whether you're signing, to a first round draft pick or not. 18, 19-year-old kids going off to college, there's a lot of the same concerns, just like, are they grounded? Are they ready to take on life by themselves? Then you compile that with, all sorts of money being thrown their way. And I know that that's got to be a tough thing. So
Yeah, I know that 18-year-old me would not have been able to handle that, and that's probably why God didn't give me that talent. I could barely handle a cell phone at 18 years old. Of course, they were like brand new things then. But I can't imagine, overnight, knowing, tomorrow you may be in another city altogether. Ben and Will and I kind of are against the average. Usually ministers, it's 3.5 years and you're on to the next. And, Ben and I both have been the same place for a decade, but that's just something that it's so hard to wrap your mind around, that, hey, tomorrow, when really that's the way it is as a Christian. You never know what you're going to be doing the next day, because you never know what the plan God has in store, but he's with you. And that's pretty cool. But what would you say would be the most rewarding part of that life?
I would say just the influence that you're able to have on people. One of the things that, I'm sure we tell our college kids is, you're going to be an influence, whether it's going to be a good one or a bad one. You're going to be one way or the other. And, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I was the best influence all the time, but I wasn't. But we tried to be a good influence, and just knowing how many people were watching you and how many people that you had the chance to affect in a positive way was probably the most rewarding thing I would probably speak for both of us. And, I tried to do that as best I could. And I knew that I had a lot of people that were, watching every move that I made and seeing how I reacted to certain situations, and, kids and adults, whatever. So, and I think that's one of the things that I took pride in, was I wanted to make sure that I tried to do the best job and show, the Christian example that I could, the best way that I knew how to.
That's really cool, because I know, we haven't been close friends, or, it's probably more of an acquaintance thing. But while you were in the majors and all that, we were 16, 17, 18 coming through Mars Hill and the baseball program, and we would see your jersey out on the back fence and everything out in center field. And it's going, man, there's somebody that we can actually follow. And so it was really cool to have, that person that you could go, hey, here's somebody who's done it right. They've worked hard. They've had the right work ethic, but then spiritually, they've also succeeded. And so that's really cool. So just want to, throw that in for someone that watched you, in those moments, and go, man, that was big for us at 16, 17, 18. So we appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate that too. And, it's not an easy responsibility. And to me, it's not fair a lot of times because I'm going to mess up, we're all going to mess up. And some of these, people that we see on SportsCenter that mess up, I mean, everybody sees it, and that doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that they messed up and it's documented. So you have to be, really responsible and really kind of, have that on the forefront of your mind all the time. I mean, I did get thrown out of one game, guys. I did.
I can't believe you.
But I could have,
we
gotten thrown out of a lot more.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Just YouTube. Just YouTube
It's
it.
great.
We'll put the link in the podcast
Yeah.
description.
That'll work.
Yeah, and like Will commented about you guys, him watching you guys, and as somebody that got to play or ride the pines, as you played, is probably a little bit more accurate. I always felt that way too. It was always something where there was no doubt in my mind that the ability scale was much different for you than for me. And but it was I never felt that way. Like you never made me feel that way. You never made anybody else. You were always somebody that brought people up no matter where you were at. And I always appreciated that because I didn't leave, Josh Willingham's presence and felt like, I was, the worst player on the planet, even though I wasn't the worst, but I certainly wasn't the best either. So, that speaks a lot, I think, to not only your, work in high school and in college, but I think you've always been that encourager. And Ginger, I've known you for a long time. Same kind of thing. Ginger also has this really incredible talent of not forgetting a single thing ever. Like if you need to know like a random person that walked by our classroom in third grade wearing a pink shirt, she could tell you who it is because she does not forget a single thing.
It's true.
Try being married to her, guys.
It is.
Don't get off the hook for nothing.
You better put everything in your phone so that it reminds you because she's going to remember it.
What do you think of when I say school night dinners? Pretty sure you didn't think healthy, effortless, or relaxed. The back-to-school season is stressful under normal circumstances. Everyone has to readjust keeping a schedule after a couple of months of the laid-back pace of summer. This year, the adjustment period will be even bigger shock to the system since many of us have been home for almost 5 months due to the COVID-19 school closings last spring. The readjustment to the faster pace of the daily work and school grind will be stress-inducing for everyone, and new school guidelines like mandatory face masks, temperature scan stations, and social distancing practices may make little ones even more prone to anxiety, even if they don't say it out loud. This year it will be even more important for us as parents to be attentive to our kiddos as we get back to a semi-normal routine this fall, checking in to make sure that they are faring well mentally and emotionally and helping them process all of the changes they will be experiencing. I know what you're thinking. That's easier said than done. There are so many urgent things that have to be dealt with every evening, like cooking dinner, packing lunches, doing laundry, and homework, that it's easy for the more important things like our kids' mental and emotional health to take a back seat.
Hi, Whitney, Travis's other half here. How about a week's worth of easy weeknight dinners for your family? We've done the planning for you. As a parent, the hours between the end of the school day and bedtime are precious. During the school year, our kids spend more waking hours with their teacher than they do with us. I don't know about you, but I don't want to waste the majority of that precious time in the kitchen. But I still want to provide my family with a healthy, tasty, and budget-friendly dinner. That's why we're giving you a meal plan with a week's worth of quick and easy, almost hands-free dinners for your family, complete with a grocery list. So you can take meal planning, shopping, and cooking off your to-do list. Now you have quality time to spend with your family. You can tend to the urgent and the important things and still have a relaxed, unhurried meal at the table with your family. Go to benandtravis.com/meal plan to sign up. We will send the meal plan and grocery list straight to your inbox.
Well, just kind of for a couple of fun things before we take a break here. What is your most rewatched movie? Like, I'm wondering if it's baseball or if it's something else. So what's your most rewatched movie? It could be, we need to hear both of y'all's answer to that.
We kind of have the same rewatch movie, don't we?
We'll go first and we'll see.
Okay. I mean, I guess the movie that we enjoy watching the most together as a family is Princess Bride.
Oh yeah. Sure.
So that's kind of it never gets old.
Yeah, that's true. That's she's right again. She's right again, guys. But I would say, for me personally, I would, if I was going to watch a movie by myself, it might be an older, sports movie. Hoosiers is one of my favorite movies, something like that.
All right. Our next question is a different, but I'm going to jump back, and this is a fun one because I'd like for you to throw somebody under the bus today. So, who was an opponent that maybe you give us the one that you maybe dreaded the most, and the one that you like to play against the most?
Opponent, as in like a pitcher or as a team?
Either one.
I would say, from a team, I didn't like playing the Braves. And I played against them, my first, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 years in the big leagues, 18 to 20 times a year. Just because when I'd go to Atlanta, it was so stressful because everybody was coming, and, it was hard for me to really focus on, my job. So I didn't really enjoy going to Atlanta, as that may seem as a surprise to some people, but I didn't enjoy that. So, and as far as an opponent, I would say Randy Johnson. I mean, he's one of the best left-handed pitchers to ever pitch. And, the first time that I faced him was in 2006, and he was with the Diamondbacks. And I think, guys, I'd struck out 3 times before I even got to the plate in my head, but yeah, he was one of the guys he was just fearful. I mean, number one, he's not the best looking guy in the world. So when you're looking at him out there, he's kind of scary. He's 6'10". He releases the ball at about 50 feet, and he throws. Yeah. Sorry, Randy, if you're watching this. And then he's, he's scary. He throws about 96 miles an hour. So.
And he destroys birds at will. I mean, he just can
And if you're watching
disintegrate.
this, Randy Johnson, we forgive you for that, because I know that sometimes can be a sore point. So don't hold that against us that Travis brought that up.
Yeah.
He looks like my uncles. So on the creasy side, he could be one. Not the 6'10" part, but the mullet part. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
You're saying your uncles are ugly? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, look at me. I mean,
So last question here. What are the biggest pet peeves or biggest pet peeve that each of you have?
I don't really have any.
Me not knowing where I want to eat. Probably.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so that's a great one right there. I didn't think about this, but she's right again, guys. So she'll say, I'll say, where do you want to eat? Baby, where you want to eat?
Is this not every wife?
I don't care.
It's every
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to go get Rosie's. I don't want Rosie's. I don't want Rosie's. Go somewhere else. Well, I thought you didn't care. Anyway, that's kind of one of mine.
I asked my wife the other day, hey, where do you want to eat? Same thing. I don't care. I said, perfect. I'm going to Zaxby's. She said, well, I meant anywhere in the city besides Zaxby's. You can't win there.
Every single time. Every single
We
time.
just want you to suggest a few, and then we can, pick from those.
Sure.
My pet peeve is probably, I mean, I don't have a ton, but I would say one particular thing I hate is when people comment on Facebook or something, and it's just like a terrible comment, like evil or, like that just really gets to me when someone is like, hiding behind a screen, saying ugly things. That's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Don't follow Travis Creasy.
Uh-oh.
come on, man.
Evil. Surely he's not evil.
No, just really sarcastic. You should
Oh,
not
that's
take
okay.
anything I say online seriously at all. That's the point.
Well, one of the things I've said many times is you've never won an argument online. It just doesn't happen. Just stop. So I hate that stuff too. So what do you guys jam out to in the car? Like, y'all have a song that you jam to? And by the way, Josh, what was your walk-up song? Like, did you have different ones throughout your career, I'm sure?
I did. I had different ones. I had several. It depended on how I was hitting, really. If I was hitting good, we'd stay with the walk-up song. If not, no, I'm kidding.
Change
But
the name of that thing.
I was a big Pearl Jam fan growing up. So one of them was Even Flow by Pearl Jam. I had little Zach Brown radio, Chicken Fried every now and then, play that chorus. What else did we have?
The outfield.
I had, Your Love with the Outfield, 80s song.
And then you had
Kind of sounds weird, but the crowd
Should
loved
ask
it.
Ginger because she'll remember it all.
Then you had
And then
building. Was it Building 429?
Yeah.
Glory Defined.
Yeah, Glory Define was one of them. So
All right, so the most important part of that question is, what did the Braves organist play when you walked up? Because he plays random songs for the opponents. Do you ever know what he played when you came up, or was he even doing that then?
she can answer. She can tell
No,
you
I have
this.
no idea.
No, I'm saying
Oh.
when I was playing a game, I couldn't tell you what was going on. I was so locked in. So I don't even know. Yeah, nothing like that. She's like, did you see this during the game or whatever?
See that
No.
streaker? And he's like, no,
No,
I
didn't see
it.
Lucky you.
I stayed locked in. I didn't notice a lot of stuff like that.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.